Good morning. It is June 17th, 2025, and this is the morning brief on Anchor Watch. I'm your host, Bobby Jones. Let's get right into it. President Trump has left the G7 summit early, transitioning back to Washington, D.C. to meet with the National Security Council, led by Secretary of State and acting National Security Advisor Marco Rubio. The things that have happened here in the last 24 hours are not exactly positives if you're trying to maintain peace. The president has ordered the strike group of the USS Nimitz to go to the Middle East. They've also ordered the movement of Air Force tankers. But most importantly, Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, has released a statement saying that all of these moves are to bolster security in the area and specifically to protect American assets. Now, there are many reports international right now that Israel is lobbying for the United States to join in on the attacks and the strikes against Iran. There are many who believe this will allow Israel and the rest of the world to have the knockout blow, not just for Iran's nuclear program, but for a proposed regime change. Now, as great as all that sounds, that may mean using American assets and even American troops to help support these efforts. Now, if you remember anything about the presidential election cycle of 2024, President Trump was adamant that he would not get Americans caught into more wars, especially in the Middle East region of the world. Well, he seems to be pushing back on that. You also have Senator Bernie Sanders, who has proposed an act in the U.S. Senate that will not allow Trump to use Americans in this ongoing conflict, and it's picked up some momentum overnight. However, there are Republicans, GOP members, who have expressed very large concerns with the movements that we're seeing. From Marjorie Taylor Greene to Steve Bannon, there are people who are like, what the heck is going on? You said we weren't going to get into any new wars. What's changed? There's some debate about that, but when you look at it from the standpoint of the last few days, Trump has been perceived as weak on the international and domestic stage. Maybe this is just posturing, but anytime you move forces, military forces, halfway around the world, that's significant. And while we're talking about warfare, the war that President Trump definitely does not want America to be involved in, both diplomatically and militarily, Ukraine and Russia. Massive airstrikes by Russia have happened overnight, trying to target and weaken the Ukraine air defense systems that have proven to be somewhat effective up to this point in the war. Everything has pretty much changed since Operation Spiderweb, the brilliant tactical attack that the Ukraine struck deep in the heart of Russian territory. Ever since then, Putin has been hell-bent not only to make them pay, but to regain some type of upper hand, both mentally and tactically. So there you have it. Two major events going on around the world. The United States seems to be, for the lack of better term, removed from one and then leaning into another. It's very confusing, but at the same time, we have not heard a national strategy be put out by this administration. And this is why that matters. We need to know what the objectives are for international stability around the world. I'll be live streaming later today at noon Eastern on Anchor Watch on Lincoln Square. Hope to see you there.